Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. Winning cures everything. It is Wednesday, July 15th. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And early show today. Kind of surprising everybody. I've got some things that I've got to knock out. The room that I'm in will be occupied for the next however many hours, and it will roll through the time that we typically do the show. So we had to make sure we got it in today. This is kind of going back to the old school days when we had no commenters on the show. So we just gonna roll through the show and see what happens. And if somebody wants to jump
right?
in, yeah. No, we're live.
Some people jumped in when I did it with John the other day, and I'm not capable of having a conversation and reading something, and so I just didn't acknowledge them. But other people will jump in.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I've had my days confused all day long. I was talking to our buddy Felica from ESPN this morning and was talking about what day it was and all that, and he said, you do know that tomorrow's Thursday, right? And I said, tomorrow's not Wednesday? What is going on? So we were going back and forth about that, but I finally got my days correct. It is Wednesday. It is July 15th, and we are ready to rock and roll. The website, of course, winningcureseverything.com. All of our picks, previews, podcasts, videos, and social media platforms are over there. If you are watching the show live, you are watching on Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. You can jump in there. Ben jumps in over in California. He said, good morning. Yeah, Ben, it is definitely a good morning. It's a little crazy. It's a little hectic, and it's a different time for us than usual, but we're glad you could hop in. If anybody else wants to jump in on the chat, any of those live platforms will populate in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen if you're watching the show. Now, if you're on the podcast, you can't see any of that anyway, but if you want to catch the show live sometime, make sure you subscribe at one of those different platforms. Knock it out. Do your thing. Share the show out if you would, everybody that is listening, and if you are on the podcast, or if you would just like to catch a show if you ever miss it live, go over and make sure you are subscribed. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc., whatever your favorite podcast app is. Found out, by the way, Overcast and Podcast Addict are our two, I guess, biggest aside from Apple Podcast. Went and dug into the numbers last night, and those are the other ones. So Apple Podcast, definitely the biggest. But it doesn't matter what app you use, you can find it over there. So go on and check it out. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you go over to sportsbookreview.com. That is where all of our college football picks, previews, blah, 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 will be starting August the 1st. So go check it out. Sportsbookreview.com, sbrpicks.com, and their YouTube page is where we are going to be. Chris, crazy times. I guess breaking news, I guess whatever you want to say. We're not going to talk too much about it, but former Memphis Tiger assistant coach, former NBA champion, Mike Miller, is the new high school basketball coach at a school in Germantown, Tennessee, right outside of Memphis. It's where his son plays. So he said he was leaving Memphis to spend more time with his family. I don't know that you can get more real than that.
When you told me that, I first thought, well, this is the first guy to ever leave a job that said, I need to spend more time with family, and then took a job that actually has him spending more time with family.
You got it. So
because usually Urban Meyer says, I got to spend more time with family, and then goes on the road with Fox for 28 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
So
it's a little strange. But Mike Miller doing it right, doing what he's supposed to be doing. Cheers to that. We're glad that he is staying in Memphis, in town. Good dude, all around good dude. Met him several times. He's fantastic. So, with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the news of the day. And there's some crazy stuff going on. We'll go ahead and start this off with NFL. Texans wide receiver Kenny Stills was arrested in Louisville, Kentucky last night because he was part of a silent protest. Or not a silent protest, but a peaceful protest. And here are the details on that. Via the Louisville Courier-Journal, police took Stills into custody Tuesday afternoon after he and other protesters marched to the home of Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron in connection with the failure to take action following Breonna Taylor's death. Per the report, Stills was charged with intimidating a participant in the legal process, which is a felony. He was also charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. Now, he was only one of 87 people that were charged with the same thing. My question to you, Chris, is what does the NFL do about this, if anything at all? Should they just leave it alone, or does the personal conduct policy come into play here? Because sometimes they will go ahead and attack people, not attack, they will discipline people for things that they are never even charged with, like Ezekiel Elliott, etc. But in this instance, he was charged with a felony, but it's part of something that the NFL is trying to make people more aware of. Which way do you stand on this?
So, yeah, this is not Ezekiel Elliott. This is not any of these other things, Ray Rice.
Right.
No, those things are, regardless of if the law sees them as right or wrong, breaking the law or not, gray areas, those are not black eyes on the league. Okay. Just being involved with the things that those guys have been involved with and in the conversations of what they've alleged to do, especially in Zeke's case, we don't ever really have any great proof. I understand those. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't always agreed with them, but I at least understand them. In this situation, you don't have that at all.
No,
okay?
this is not a black eye on the league at all.
No. We would have to have tape coming out of him actually assaulting people and causing a major disruption that we have footage of, because if the footage existed, we would have seen.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think the league gets involved at all. This is between him and his court case. The felony misdemeanor thing is, for him, important. For an attorney, important. For the league, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Okay.
And the other side of this is he's out, protesting and whatnot, which it is everybody's right to do. However, it is less than 2 weeks before training camp starts. Not to say that I don't want him doing this. I hope these guys come back and they're all negative. I just hope we all get, negative COVID tests and whatnot, and that everything goes according to plan. I know tomorrow's show we'll probably get to discuss a little bit of the NFLPA stuff that's going on, because we are in dire straits when it comes to the NFL, and they're negotiating with the NFLPA. So we'll figure out what goes on with that. But Kenny Stills, I think we both side on the idea that the NFL needs to do nothing with this. They need to just kind of let this go, and we'll move on from there. Speaking of moving on, let's go ahead and discuss politics, which is our favorite topic, right? Tommy Tuberville, former Auburn football coach. He won the Republican primary for Senate in the state of Alabama last night over Jeff Sessions. He had not lost in his entire political career, Jeff Sessions, 30 years or 30-plus years. And Tommy Tuberville took it away from him. And while that is not super surprising, obviously incredibly well-known name, he aligned himself with Donald Trump, and that goes a long way. Yeah.
We live in the South, and it's very much does Trump support you or not? Because that's how we got the governor that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And many other people in our state is Trump backed them. We are a Trump state for the most part. Alabama is a Trump state. If Trump gives you the nod, you're going to win. In most cases, you're probably going to win running away.
Yes, I agree. So with that said, that's not the most interesting thing that happened last night. The Alabama Democrats Twitter account absolutely blasted Tommy Tuberville before and after he won the primary. I mean,
they were pretty sure he was going to win it, because you don't want to waste those bullets. You kind of wanted him to win because you think he's beatable.
Oh, yes. Oh, 100%. So Doug Jones is the guy that won it last time, whenever that was, 2 years ago, I guess it was. He won 2 years ago, and he is the incumbent. He's running again for the Alabama Democrats, which, again, not typical that a Democrat wins, but he was going up against a not good dude at all.
Well, therein lies the issue, that the reason we have a Democrat in Alabama, which is shocking to begin with, is because the other person was pretty awful.
Yes, he was pretty bad. What was it? Was it Roy Moore? I guess that too it was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
A lot of underage young lady things going on there.
Just a mess. So, with that said, the Alabama Democratic Party decided to tweet out some crazy-ish, and I had to bring it up on the show.
I thought some of these were hilarious.
This is fantastic. All right, first
some of them are spot on because they attack his character correctly, by the way. They didn't lie about it. And some of them have nothing to do with anything political at all.
Yes, agreed. So, with that said, let's go ahead and roll through some of these. First tweet, he lost his last Iron Bowl 36-0, collects millions of dollars in pension money from hardworking Alabamians, and bilked investors based on their trust in his investment advice. Tubbs, Duggs is going to run through you like Fred Talley at an 11 a.m. Jefferson Pilot game. Fred Talley, former Arkansas player. That was pretty good.
Fantastic. The first 2 points of that are completely irrelevant to anything at all.
Absolutely.
Like they have nothing to do with anything.
No, the pension, the Iron Bowl, all that. Now the bilked investors based on their trust in his investment advice.
Yeah.
If you're taking investment advice from Tommy Tuberville,
well, that's it. If you're taking investment advice from a football coach, there's a reason they're a football coach. You do know the people at Wall Street make their salaries look ridiculous, right?
Oh, yes, 100%.
If you're good at Wall Street, saving $10 million ain't shit.
Now you got that right. With the Iron Bowl comment, Doug Jones, I will go ahead and tell you this from experience. There are significantly more Alabama fans than Auburn fans in the state. There just are. So if you are trying to
pandering to the base, let me tell you this too. It doesn't help that Trump messed up Saban's name.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
That doesn't help him in the big election.
No, it really does not.
Lou Saban is not going to win any awards in the state of Alabama. I liked it. I found it hilarious.
AL.com said that it was not an accident at all, and I think I might tend to agree.
Nick?
I think that's what they were saying.
Listen now, Pence is hanging out with. Listen,
with Ed Orgeron.
Back in an Auburn guy. Pence is hanging out with. Maybe Trump's not a Saban the guy.
Hey, cheers to it. That's fine with me. I'm all right with that. The next one here was from 4 days ago. It said Tommy Tuberville said he'd leave Ole Miss, quote, in a pine box. Days later.
This is attacking his character.
Yes. Days later, he left for Auburn, never told his players goodbye. At Auburn.
Really, I'm going to be here. This is not one of those things where all coaches lie about stuff. This was, he had a deal done and he just had to sign the paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
And said it.
Yeah, and it was going to happen. And instead, he leaves. He goes to Auburn. It said at Auburn, he had a wandering eye every year. And that is true, man. He was connected to a lot of jobs. At Texas Tech, he ditched a recruit during dinner to leave for Cincinnati. Wonder who he's lying to now.
Yeah.
I mean, they went all in on this.
That's a fantastic tweet.
That's
a fantastic tweet.
Hey, politics are dirty, man. They go after it. So that was the second one. Now we've got the third one. Senator Jones got justice for 4 little girls that were murdered during church by the Klan. Tommy Tuberville thought a 1-game suspension was enough when one of his players raped a little girl. Which one cares more about your daughter's future? That
is brutal.
That's absolutely brutal. And then it links to an article about it.
To the article. Oh, no, yeah. All of this stuff is going to get leaked to articles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was now, I'll say this. Tommy Tuberville, not the cleanest football coach out there. So we've got some of these. We've got one more here. We got a few of these. There's going to be more. There's going to be so many more because he was a coach for a long time in the SEC. Of course you've got stuff like that. You've got a ton of skeletons in your closet if you are a head coach in the SEC and you were trying to win every year. Bottom line. The last one says, you, scared of your own shadow. Can an incumbent Democratic senator win in a red state? Us, ready to storm hell with the Super Soaker. Tuberville couldn't score a touchdown for 2 weeks with 4 first-rounders on his offense. He also lost to Vanderbilt. I mean, they are just absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. If you're the Auburn football coach, by the way, you should never lose to Vanderbilt. Like, I don't care if James Franklin's there. I don't care if Bobby Johnson's there. That's who we lost to, by the way, Bobby Johnson. And it was when game day was in town. I mean, it was nuts. So,
why was game day at Vanderbilt, though? Hang on.
Because they started 5-0.
But if game day's at Vanderbilt, then this is not a standard Vanderbilt team.
It was pretty standard. I mean, they opened up the season.
Then why the hell is game day there?
Well, they opened the season 4-0. They played a bunch of nobodies, but I think they had beaten like Kansas State or somebody that season. And then Auburn came in town.
Game for them to go to. That is a damning indictment on college football, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. But you've seen some of the places. I mean, you know, they've gone to some questionable spots, but they want to try and hit every college campus or every P5 campus at least. So that's what their goal was that season. It was the first time Vanderbilt had started off 4-0, 5-0, whatever it was. But they won that game. I think they got to 6-0, and then they lost all 6 of their last 6 games. So it was a typical Vanderbilt year. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anything crazy. But yes, Tommy Tuberville figuring out, like, yes, we understand head coaching in the SEC is kind of dirty. It ain't nothing like politics in the South. It just ain't. Not even close. Not even close. So we will be watching that, I guess, in November. I guess it's the same election cycle as the presidency, so we will figure into that. Let's keep talking about some college football, though. I'm curious your thoughts here. And we talked a little bit about this before, but SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey was on with Clay Travis on his morning show, Outkick the Coverage this morning on Fox Sports. And he told Clay that the SEC does not release positive test numbers for schools, but since athletes got back on campus, the positive tests have declined substantially to single digits and approaching 0 across the conference. So, along with that, he talks a number of other things. I don't want to necessarily discuss the specifics of it. I want to discuss his attitude here. When we talked on Monday, he had been on with Feinbaum. And I don't think we brought it up on the show, but he had jumped on with Paul Feinbaum, and Feinbaum is there's no way we're having college football, right? It's just not going to happen. I don't know what everybody's so worked up about. It doesn't make any sense. It's irresponsible. It's blah, 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 blah. Damien jumps in on YouTube, said, what's up? Damien, thanks for hopping in early, brother. So Greg Sankey goes on with Feinbaum, and it is, yeah, things are looking dire. You know, we need to get the numbers looking better, and we need to do da-da-da-da-da. Like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're really working hard, and we're giving ourselves time to figure it out. Well, then he goes on with Clay this morning, and it is upbeat, and it is, you know, I think we can get this done. I think this is 36 hours later. Feinbaum, he went on at like 5:30 p.m. Central Time, and with Clay, he goes on at 7 o'clock a.m., whatever time it is, and 36 hours, it is 2 completely different mindsets. How do you get from, now one, I understand that the numbers change drastically every day. So the outlook is bleak one day and then positive the next and da-da-da-da-da. However, you're talking about something as big as like $1 billion industry. And one day we can't make it work, and then another day, yeah, everything looks good. Where do you stand on this? What's Sankey's not issue? What's going on with him?
So I'm going to equate this to the same thing. We had this conversation with about Fauci a couple of weeks back, maybe even a month ago back. He would talk to one guy and he was super pessimistic. Then he would talk to another guy or lady and he would be super optimistic. And it all just depended upon who he was talking to. And I'm going to say the exact same thing about Sankey now as I said about him. I don't think he's evil. I don't think he's being manipulated. I don't think he's just pandering to a base because I'm talking to this person. I think he's human. And I know that when I'm around negative people who have negative outlooks on things, I begin to see the world in a negative spin. And I begin to give answers and think about things that you're asking me from a negative point of view. Okay? When you're talking to Feinbaum, 5 minutes, 10 minutes into that show, you know, man, it just seems like we don't have a chance at this. And so now every answer I give is just going to have that tone of darkness and lack of hope. Clay is the complete opposite, okay? Clay sees this in a very positive light, all the testing that we've done, all of the even the positive tests that have come out, it's very much a look how many people are testing positive for this thing, and it doesn't affect their life at all. Spin to it. And therefore, I think Sankey feeds off of that and begins to lean on. He just seems to be more of a chameleon than anything else, which I think is a pretty good characteristic to have in a leader. At some point in time, when things are real tough, the leader needs to stand up and everybody needs to take on the persona of the leader. But when you're talking to other people, you can realistically and honestly empathize with them and see the world through their eyes. I think that's a good thing, by the way. I think that's a great quality to have.
That's what I was going to ask. Does this mean that he is an ineffective leader, or does this mean that he's a great leader?
I disagree. I think he can honestly walk away from those two conversations after 24, 48 hours and say, I've talked to two different people. I felt two different ways about this. Now let me rationale in my brain what is the right way, because we all believe that the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. Correct. You have the doom and gloom that are just pouring fear thing, and then you have the people that are extreme carefree and just don't take it seriously. They're not worried about it at all. The safe spot, the responsible place, is somewhere in the middle. Okay, and I think that's where he's gonna end up. I think it makes for a good leader, because living in the extremes is a terrible place to be. Okay, it's where we are in our country, by the way, with everything. And it's a terrible, terrible place to be. We have to find a way to find some way to get back to the center, and stop listening to all the extreme voices. But the fact that he can have the conversation with two extremists and he empathize, sympathize, and rationalize with them, I think those are good qualities to have in a leader.
Well, and
not every leader needs to be a dictator where all my ideas are right ideas, because you know how I feel about that. I'm not always going to be right. And that means I need to surround myself with people who are smarter than me, better than me. And I have to be able to see the world through their eyes and hear the advice that they're giving me. They can't just give me advice that I trusted blindly. I got to be able to believe in it.
Yes. No, 100%. He was still able to give to both guys, give good, real information to them, and empathize on both sides of the aisle, right? So, and that's we need more.
And I hate that the numbers are looking so good, but we're not giving those numbers because player safety and we care about there's got to be a way to say, today these are the numbers at LSU. They got 200, 300 people in the football complex working with these kids that are being tested. You don't have to give names out. Ages out. Schools can do it. The conference cannot. So it's up to the school, really. Ben jumps in. He said, extremes make headlines. 100%. And there's no doubt with the media. That's why Feinbaum has a show and Clay has a show. You're right. People in the middle aren't ever going to get a great show. They're just not. Oh, I mean, Feinbaum used to, I believe, I don't think it's still there, but it used to be there where he talked about where so-and-so happens and coaches are fired. He used to call for coaches' heads all the time. That was his show. That's what people listened for. He was the negative guy forever. And he brought on callers that brought out absolute worst in fan bases. He never brought on a reasonable person. No, you're dead on about that. So Sankey, because that doesn't move the needle. Yeah, but Phyllis from Alabama moves the needle. Oh, you got that. Phyllis from Moga for sure. So Sankey here, he discussed the testing numbers for the SEC athletes. They're looking good. He addressed the issue that athletes may potentially be safer on campus than they would be at home. He brought up an interesting story that he had talked to a student athlete who was going to 2 different public gyms every day to get his workouts in, and he's just around random people. And it's something else that we didn't even talk about when we brought it up on Monday about why it would be a good idea to have college football, because it's safer for them on campus than it would be elsewhere. Well, you did bring that up, and you talked about how it is safer. I remember you made that. Yeah, no, we talked about that. It home and used the analogy of that, but you absolutely made the statement that it is safer for them on campus than off of campus. And I know people aren't going to like this. If no other students are on campus, because like USC, then hell yeah, it's a lot. All those football players are way safer because this place is used to holding, I don't know, 15, 20,000 people, and now it holds 300. Yeah, those 300 are incredibly safe.
Yes, agree. It's almost a bubble environment.
Yeah, so it's just, the hardest thing is always going to be, what do you do when they're not doing football stuff? How do you control the leisure activities of young men who are athletes? That's where it's always going to get dicey.
Well, and Sankey brought up that it's about education. Like, you've got to educate these guys and make it as clear as humanly possible, and then continue on with the testing, et cetera, et cetera. So I liked the fact that it was optimistic, that there was discussion about the possibility and really the likelihood that we will in fact have a college football season.
So I didn't let Monday's interview with Feinbaum affect me at all. We talked about this. It didn't move the needle for me one bit, because I felt like he was pandering to Feinbaum's base, to be honest with you, and maybe not to his base, but to Feinbaum, to Paul.
Yeah, to him.
And I thought, yeah, I hear him saying that on Feinbaum. That's not how he really feels, because this guy is going to answer to people way bigger than Paul. Okay.
Oh, yes.
And I kind of always found it weird that Paul was the voice of the SEC. He's very much an SEC guy, and he knows this league, but he doesn't seem to think like your typical SEC fan at all.
Yeah.
And that's what was always strange or different to me. Now, I like Paul. I like Paul a whole lot, by the way. I find him very entertaining and really good at what he does. But it's just strange that he's the kind of the voice of the SEC and kind of been given that.
Well, it's because he was the first national show that specifically discussed SEC football. I mean, that's it, for 4 hours a day. That's all he talked about, and nobody else was doing that at the time. So it was before podcast, before all that. Joseph Gomez jumps in, by the way. He said, "Early show, nice. I'm still working from home." So, yeah, early show today. We will be going live at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I believe we will have a special guest on with us tomorrow. Going to reconfirm and whatnot tomorrow, but yeah, tune in 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. So all you West Coasters, it'll be 1 p.m. So just a touch after lunch. No big deal. Let's close out with this here. NASCAR coming back tonight. Bristol is allowing up to 30,000 fans. It looks like it's probably going to be closer to 25,000, but that's a lot of people to put in one spot. Now, to be fair, that is still less than 20% of what the place actually holds.
That place holds a ton of people.
It's 160,000. But this will be one of the big steps in figuring out what we can do with having that many people. This is the biggest number of people that will be together for an event since the pandemic hit in March, right? They started canceling everything, etc. It is the All-Star race at Bristol Motor Speedway. It was already going to be interesting with or without fans, but now it's, for the first time ever, it's going to be there instead of at Charlotte. So I'm kind of excited about just seeing what it's going to look like with that many people in one spot. Now, of course, they're all going to be separated and spread out.
It's going to look like nobody's there, by the way. It's going to look like a Jags game. Because that place holds, over 100,000 people.
Yeah, it's like 100. I think the Tennessee-Virginia Tech game was like 156,000 a few years ago.
That is a lot of people. That they put seats in down lower as well, where the fans actually go. But see, the infield won't be taken up at all.
Yeah.
So all those seats and RVs are gone, and it's just going to be the seats around. I'm excited about this. You know how I feel. I just think. I don't know how to beat this thing. I just have no clue, but I know if I could buy a ticket to a Red Sox game next week, I would fly my butt up to Boston and I'd go. I just would, and I would be safe about it. I'd wear my mask. I'd protect anybody around me. I feel like I don't even make eye contact with people anymore. I know that has nothing to do with it. It's just like I don't want to be seen as a threat, but I want to get out and do something. My actual dream NASCAR race, not that I'm the biggest NASCAR fan, I'm married into a massive NASCAR fan, by the way.
Really?
Family. My father-in-law actually owned race cars in a lower level of NASCAR, like their minor league level. It was called the Hooters Cup back in the day. I don't know what it would be called today.
Gotcha.
And so they're hardcore NASCARs guys. They go to Daytona every year. If I have one race to go to, and I go to any race in the country anytime, it would be the Bristol night race. It
I
wouldn't be
can believe
Talladega.
that.
It wouldn't be Daytona. It wouldn't be. It would be the Bristol night race. I don't know why at that setting. You know how I feel about the Smokies.
Oh, yeah.
That area of Tennessee is one of the most beautiful areas in the country.
Well, I mean, you love to vacation up in Pigeon
Yeah,
Forge?
I'm going in a couple of weeks. Yes, we go up there. If I was a major college football player and San Diego State didn't call me, I would seriously probably see myself at Tennessee. It's not a fan thing. That's just a beautiful part of the world.
Oh, it most certainly is. We've talked multiple times about how beautiful Knoxville is. It's just incredible. Everything about the trip there from Memphis is gorgeous. I mean, it's perfect in the fall. Perfect in the fall. So yeah, this is going to be a massive ordeal with,
I just want good things to come out of it. I really do. Because if we can get 25,000 people in this thing and it goes off and they don't see massive spikes and everything seems to come out of it really good, those are good, positive things. You got a lot of people that are willing to be lab rats right now just to get out and to do something.
Yeah.
Okay?
I haven't seen anything about whether or not they're going to be required to wear masks or anything like that. I'm very curious about that.
I'm going to tell you, there's so much notice about mask outside is virtually irrelevant. Like, yes, when you go into the store, put your damn mask on.
Agreed.
But, like, I see people walking around our neighborhood and they wear the mask. I'm thinking, you're 30, 40 feet from anybody anyway.
Yeah, that's a little goofy. But
why are you jogging with that thing on?
But when people are walking into,
you do realize
the
110-degree heat index right now. Like, that's insane.
Hey, Ben jumps in, by the way, on Twitch. He said the East Coast has nothing on the West when it comes to natural beauty. I will disagree there. However, I will say
San Diego. That is paradise. Now hang on. I used to spend summers in Montana. Okay, I had an old pastor friend of mine that I would go up spend a month with. Can't make a living being a pastor out in Montana. Imagine that. So he had like 5 part-time jobs. I would go up there and do like 2 or 3 of his part-time jobs for him. That I was lucky enough to have this old Indian guy named Roy take me out to the reservation. Now that is gorgeous country.
Oh yeah, that
is pretty unbelievable. The one place I want to make it in the world is to see the redwoods.
Well, I'll tell you this. I got to see some of the redwoods. Not exactly what you're talking about, but
I want to see them all. I want to see the big ones.
In Santa Cruz, where the mystery spot is and all that, like all those areas there, we went to several national parks in Santa Cruz. San Francisco is gorgeous. I mean, tons of sight lines, like right across on the Golden Gate Bridge and whatnot. Yosemite, absolutely beautiful. Big Sur, the Pacific Coast Highway, at all of those, yes, absolutely gorgeous. However, that doesn't take away from how beautiful that neck of the woods is. Ben said those are great. Go to Tahoe. Yeah, I could believe that. I mean, I hadn't been. I would like to go eventually. We'll figure it out. But yeah, no, the Rockies.
You have more doesn't take away from the Smokies. All right.
Yeah, the Rockies and the Smokies.
I'll give you that. Outside of the Smoky Mountains, the East Coast has been populated with people for about 100 and something years more than the West Coast have. Okay.
Yeah.
And then once we started moving west, we also started realizing we need to start conserving things and reserving things. And so that people have jacked up the East Coast, but the Smoky Mountains are a beautiful, beautiful place to live. They really are. And I find them nicer than the Rockies because the Rockies are rough, man. The Rockies are beautiful, but they are like hardcore mountains where people die in all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And the Smokies are just like laid. I mean, that's my life. Look at me. I'm not a Rocky Mountain guy. I'm a Smoky Mountain guy.
That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Hey, Damian jumped in on YouTube, driving us back into NASCAR here. He said, question, if they're going to allow people in the stands, how are they going to make sure that fans are going to wear masks all the way through the race, especially in the heat? Well, I will tell you this. They're not going to make sure everybody wears masks through the entire thing because everybody will be separated. Like,
they're going to be social distance. So you don't. I mean, if you're 20 feet from somebody, you don't need a mask on. They don't need a mask on. If you're 3 feet from somebody, get your mask on.
Yeah.
If you came with 4 people that are all together, you don't need a mask either because you just rode together.
Hey, Matt Miller jumps in.
Breathing each other's stuff to begin with.
Matt Miller jumped in and said, Chris looks like a Rocky Mountain oyster man.
No. And listen, that's not a homophobic thing. Those things are really nasty. I have tried them. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to put a ball in my mouth.
Ben said they need to stagger entrance times for this. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I know that.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I know the theme parks
stagger entrance time. They're probably going to do something like that.
Yeah.
But also, NASCAR events are not like baseball stadiums or football. I'm going to bet there's 37 different ways to get in that place.
Oh, absolutely.
These places are not baseball and football stadiums. They have a giant road in them. Okay.
Yes. Well, I'll say this: what they have been doing for theme parks and whatnot is reservation times, right?
Yeah,
so you set what time you're going to come into the park, and then you better get there. Like,
I have watched videos of Disney World, like the parade thing going on where people have been sharing out because my family Disney nerds, and I'm telling you, I would love to be there right now. Now, outside of the fact that it's sweltering heat and I don't do Florida in the summer, there's nobody at the damn park.
Oh yeah, because they're only allowing in like what 1/10 of the number?
I don't know that. I know this. This is what I've been saying. I will pay double the price for if I could get a day like that in the park.
Yeah. Matt Miller jumped in. He said, report out of Florida, some labs have 100% positivity rate, so the test has a bunch of false positives or some fishy stuff is going on, or it's true, and we're going to have herd immunity soon. So I did a bunch of digging.
100% positivity rate sounds like somebody broke something.
I did a bunch of digging on it last night. These labs, there were 33 labs that were providing incorrect data, and they didn't realize it. So
I don't think, once again, never really believe evil or manipulate it. Usually believe incompetence.
Yes. So that was the issue here. Ben said testing is all messed up right now. It's not so much the testing that is messed up. It is, one, you can test positive if you have antibodies. So if you have antibodies in your system, you can test positive and then test negative, in the same day. I mean, it's insane. So it lasts like another 30 days where it's in your blood, but you don't have it. So that's kind of the NBA is going to move towards that. They're starting to do antibody testing as well. But the other side of this, with Florida, the 33 labs or whatever, some of them were only reporting the positive test, and they didn't report the negative tests. So it's a whole.
So then you're going to get 100% of reported cases.
Yeah. Or in some of them, I mean, there was a VA hospital in Tampa, I think it was, that reported like 78% positive, and when they were questioned on it, they provided the actual results, which was less than 6% positive. They just didn't report all the negatives.
I'm telling you, we are a country that is more stat-based, more analytically based than any other country in the world. I believe that simply because we thrive and drive on sports, and all of our sports have become analytic. I don't know that there's great analytics for soccer. I don't know that there's great because they never change a different player out, okay?
Yeah.
It's the same guy that starts the game, ends the game, doesn't matter. Cricket, I can't explain that, okay? I don't know if they have analytics or not. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey have become so analytically driven. We know how to do numbers and stats better than anybody in the world. How is it that we cock up the numbers and the stats?
It's insane. It's easy to mess up stats. If you send in the wrong spreadsheet or you type in the wrong number in the wrong cell or what, I mean, there's ways to mess it up. But, yeah, I mean, we count on these, especially right now.
What we've done is we've learned really good about how to manipulate stats.
That's
the thing that pisses me off. That's why true. I don't trust stats. It's because the people selling it to me are all liars.
Well, speaking of liars, Joseph Gomez jumps in on YouTube. He said, nothing is ever 100% except the Patriots won't win the Super Bowl this year. And then Ben jumps in and said, Joseph, don't jinx it, dude.
I love that statement. Oh, that statement just warmed my heart right there because that sounds like the KO.
Man, I'm glad we had people jump in today.
I told you it was going to happen. It's going to happen. All right.
Oh, that was good stuff.
Not as many, but it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. No, you guys have been fantastic. We're going to go ahead and wrap the show up there. I don't think anything has broken in the last little bit, and I've got to get out of here and let this room be taken over. So, with that said, that's going to wrap up the show. Thank you to everybody that jumped in, Ben, Joseph, Matt, Damien, etc., everybody else. We appreciate you jumping in on the chat. It is, Damien said, Patriots tank gate. I swear to God. Everybody trying to rile you up early today. Today.
They're just, all they're going to do is have their feelings hurt real bad by week 8.
It's going to be a lot of fun this season. with all these guys jumping in.
Cam Newton now plays Wonder Boy.
Yep.
The feelings really hurt.
Yeah, you got that right. You got that right. All right. So that's going to wrap it up. Go over to the website, winningcureseverything.com. Make sure you're subscribed everywhere that you need to be. Share the show out with your friends. And if you have not already, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Leave a nice 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. We cannot thank you enough for jumping in. We can't thank you enough for sharing the show out. The numbers continue to rise, and that is a good thing considering we're a sports show and there are no sports going on right now. So, with that said, we're going to get out of here. You guys have been fantastic. Go over to sportsbookreview.com. Make sure you are subscribed to their YouTube page. August 1st, we start over there. Joseph said, when was Cam humble? A couple weeks ago, actually. So, anyway, winningcureseverything.com, sportsbookreview.com. You guys take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.